G'day, it's Nick here and welcome to Wicked Wildlife. And today I want to introduce you to the newest member of the Wicked Wildlife family, and that'd be this little girl here. Her name is Boo, so stick around guys, we're going to have a look at our wombat. Wicked Wildlife encounter, this is Tully, our resident newest member to our wild family here. So for those of you who have been watching a few of our videos, you might actually have met Boo before, way back in our episode about why do wombats have square poo. She looked a little bit different at the time, she was only a little tacker. But today, she's about 12 months old and almost 9 kilos, and she's come from living with a carer to living with us. Boo was actually born in the wild, unlike all the other animals that we keep here at Wicked Wildlife. But she was orphaned when her mother was hit by a car in South Australia. Luckily, the people that orphaned her, they took her into a carer, and she was raised basically to eventually come here and become an educational ambassador. So Boo here is pretty convinced she's a human being. She doesn't have the skills to survive out in the wild, and today she's going to be spending the rest of her life going to schools and educating people about our unique Australian animals. Now, many people might actually be unaware that there's 3 species of wombat in Australia. Boo is what we call a common wombat. Depending where you live, you might call her a forest wombat or a bare-nosed wombat, but she's the species that you find along coastal Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania. They just push into South Australia and they just push into Queensland. Across South Australia and Western Australia along the Nullarbor, we've got her cousin, the southern hairy-nosed wombat, and up in Queensland, we've got a 3rd species, the northern hairy-nosed wombat, who's actually critically endangered. There's less than 200 of them, and they're only found in 2 small national parks. So while we call her the common wombat, she does have one very, very endangered cousin. Now, while Boo looks pretty big at the moment, she's about 9 kilos, as I was saying, and she's probably going to get to around 25, 30 kilos. The record is somewhere over 40 kilograms for a big male. So these guys are actually the largest burrowing mammal on Earth. No animal constructs a burrow to live in that is bigger than the common wombat. Despite that large size, they're actually born only a few grams after only 30 days of gestation. Being marsupials, of course, they're born like jelly beans. They wriggle their way up to mum's pouch, which in wombats points backwards so that it doesn't fill with dirt as she walks around the bush and as she's digging. And she'll spend the next 5 or 6 months in that pouch drinking milk. After that, she'll leave the pouch and she'll continue suckling off mother for another couple of months until she's about 12 months old. And she won't leave her mum until she's 18 months of age. With all that in mind, Boo here still is on 2 bottles a day. She's pretty convinced I'm dad, and she goes pretty well everywhere I go. So I guess I'm unofficially the wombat mother. So currently Boo is about 12 months old. Based on her weight, coming from the wild, it's an educated guess. But in the wild, she'd live about 15 years on average. In captivity, she should certainly pass 20 years of age. And I actually had the good fortune of working with a wombat named Patrick, who holds the title of the oldest wombat. He passed away last year at the age of 31 years old. So Boo here is going to be with us for a very long time yet. Now, the one thing about wombats, of course, is while Boo is certainly our baby, and people might look at her and think, I'd love a wombat as a pet. You can imagine an animal that can dig a burrow to the extent that she can is certainly not an easy animal to house. And part of the conditions of Boo coming to live with us is we had to prove that we could have an enclosure. Boo currently lives inside for about half of her time, and she spends her daytimes out here learning to be a little bit more of a wombat. But in our next video, what I thought I'll do is I'll actually show you how we built Boo's wombat enclosure from beginning to end. So anyway guys, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed meeting the cutest new addition to our team here. And if you want to know how we keep our wombat, please check on next week. And until then guys, have a good one and take care.